Blue Lock Chapter 353 has just released. We continue to see more of England's new gen as Teddy faces off against a Blue Lock's number ones. The England match is right around the corner. Isagi gives a great speech to motivate the Blue Lockers, which just reminds me of Prime Isagi from the past. If you're an Isagi fan, you're gonna love this chapter. We get to see more of Teddy as well, so let's not waste any more time and jump into it quick. The chapter picks up right where we left off, with Teddy still having the ball and Nanase calling out saying, "Who the hell is this guy?" Which is a great question. Another question we should also be asking is, how did he get in the Blue Lock training field? And how did nobody see him just go behind Corona? That's like Dora not seeing Swiper on the screen. Unless he pulled out that sneaking technique we saw in Baki, I don't believe not one person saw him come in. 5 people were here. Nanase then says Teddy's name and realizes that he was the one who was recently selected as a New Gen 11, which is a pretty big revelation. Up until now, we could only guess all New Gen 11s were picked. But for Teddy to gain the title not too long ago, it opens up the possibilities of other players becoming New Gens or even a previous New Gen players. Hey, you never know, maybe even a Blue Locker could become one. I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon, but jumping back to it, Teddy immediately starts running towards Nanase and Raichi. He continues talking about ego and then hits Nanase with the fattest weave, got him in the Michael Jackson splits. Raichi damn near tried to swipe at bro, but spins around him effortlessly like the wheels on a bus, all the while dialoguing while cooking them. Teddy asks the Blue Lockers, isn't ego just a burden to live with? And if you have one, you'll end up clashing with others, comparing yourself to them, which is exhausting. Raichi then looks back in absolute disbelief, calling out his dribbling rhythm is too unique for him to read. And that's when Teddy is just doing the most, hitting this Lightning McQueen drift into a Spider-Man pose just to aura farm. Nah, Teddy's actually like that. He got the ankle breaker badge because within 4 seconds of his introduction, 5 of our players, 4 of which are defenders, got pieced up. Teddy tells them that's why living as an egoist isn't for a worthless puppet like him. Then he looks up and says how many more does he need to get past before they give up. This is just another level of disrespect. Bro walked into our training field, embarrassed half our team, and saying who's next. But that's when we see Itoshi, Rin, and Isagi Yoichi pull up right behind Teddy. And oh my god, we sending in the special grades. Just look at my boys, this Goku and Vegeta team up, stretching, getting ready to throw hands, with Isagi saying he came to check what's up, and Rin wastes no time roasting Teddy saying which vermin slipped in here. Isagi then says if he steals the ball away, he'll get out of here, right? And Rin says, we'll play with you, so bring it on, you worthless puppet. Grab your popcorn, folks. We're about to see a New Gen and Blue Lock's number ones face off. And Rin especially. Come on, bro. You need to redeem yourself for the past few chapters. It's been 22 years of gloom. This was what all the meditating was for. Shigiri and Nanase are both shocked to see them both run the fade, with Teddy looking behind him saying, jolly good it is, it is. Yeah, Teddy is literally John England, bro. This is the most proper English you could possibly have. But we're about to scrap as Teddy turns towards them with the ball, and both Rin and Isagi head straight first into it. And it begins with Rin getting the first action and dashing in, putting his hand out towards him. Teddy puts one foot out, but dribbles with the other, hits Rin with the sidestep, and got Rin reaching for the air. Nah, my goat done dirty once again. But we're not done yet, folks, as Isagi runs in behind Rin, going towards Teddy, pulls out a move straight out of kicking it, trying to slide tackle him. But this nonchalant man jumps over him effortlessly. Holy smokes, a crime has been committed. PB Isagi got him looking like those chalk outlines. This is an Avengers level threat. Someone gotta stop, bro. Looks like my prayers were answered though, as we see a hand grab the back of Teddy's jacket, not so fast, as Teddy looks at Itoshi Rin and says that's not allowed, with Rin saying he doesn't care. As Rin then grabs Teddy, attempts to body slam him, calling him lukewarm. Yo, Rin tried to end the England game before it started. I'm hella dead. Is this a little extreme? Possibly. Straight resulting to violence? He learned absolutely nothing from that monk training. But as Rin is about to hit him with the WWE takedown, Teddy hits the reverse on him, spinning like a Beyblade midair while balancing on his shoulder. Okay, so on top of having generational weaves, he pulls out the Sunisa Lee acrobatics. What the hell am I seeing? This is something you see in Shaolin football. But I'm afraid, folks, this is not the end of it, as Teddy then switches his hand, using the other one to balance on top of Rin's head, and oh hell nah, peep Rin! What did I do in my previous life to deserve this? It's just a humiliation ritual being a Rin fan for the past few months. Pat on the head, lil bro is crazy. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. Teddy then tells Rin, you egoists sure are barbaric, and he never wants to become like him. But that's when Isagi with Metavision comes out of nowhere, stealing the ball away from Teddy, saying, oh, what a coincidence, you egoless weirdo. He never wants to be like him too. Thank you, Isagi. I don't know if I had any more in my heart to see the blue lockers getting cooked, especially Rin, bro. He was moving like the shadow beast in Hunter x Hunter, aura farming in his entrance just to get done dirty. Anyways, as Isagi tells Teddy he doesn't want to be like him, Bachira compliments the interception, and Teddy looks at Isagi, asking who is he, with Isagi saying he's blue locked Isagi Yoichi. And then Teddy says he sees, so then without blue lock, he'd be just Isagi Yoichi, right? And Isagi got my reaction because what the hell does that mean? Is this supposed to be some are you the strongest because you're Gojo or Gojo because you're the strongest sentence? I don't really know. Teddy then does the same hand wave as before, saying he's just a puppet who will die to give England a World Cup victory, as he walks away. And look at Rin, bro. That's just pure hatred in his eyes. Isagi gives a long look at Teddy and he doubles down, saying he is a puppet and he'll see them tomorrow, as he just up and leaves. So that was one hell of an introduction, and now everyone can say what's on their minds. Chigiri says, what the hell is with that guy? Atoya says he's a freak, and Ryu says his skills are style though. Karasu then says we could only stop him by breaking the rules, and he bets his dribbling is the key to England's strategy. And Hiyori jumps on the Glaze train too, saying he was unreal, feels like none of them could stop him one-on-one. Aiku then tells everyone to calm down once again, and says that was his plan to plant that doubt in their minds. Then flashes a smile and says since they resorted to that, England's desperate to win. And after a long time, y'all, we get an Isagi Yoichi speech, which if you're an Isagi fan, you're gonna love, and even if you're not, it's still hype as hell, so I'ma just listen like a good boy. I mean, what? He agrees with Aiku and reminds them if they don't win this, it's all over. Their lives are riding on this, the ultimate battle. Determination in his eyes, Isagi tells them isn't that the situation that helped their egos evolve and get stronger. And as everyone is listening, he says he wonders why they ended up so scattered in the match against France. Was it because ego was right, doubting to be the world's best? He does bring up the fact that France was crazy strong and their individual skills weren't quite up to snuff, but the biggest problem was that they tricked themselves into thinking they were the strongest and the world revolved around them. You know it's serious when Isagi is hitting the hands out pose too, with Hiyori agreeing and Chigiri mentioning the fame from Blue Lock TV. Isagi agrees, saying they were the center of attention before the World Cup even started. And after the overwhelming win against Nigeria, they lost their balance. We then see Isagi standing alone with the Japan flag in the back, as he says Japan was never considered a favorite to win. They're not the birthplace of football like England or a football powerhouse like Brazil, showing some flags of teams we're familiar with, and also the Brazil and Argentina flags, which could be potential foreshadowing. Raichi and Rin are listening to Isagi as he continues that their history is fairly brief, and most of the history is yet to be written. Plus, when it comes to all of them gathered here in Blue Lock, none of them were the sort of elite players who could have gone to play overseas. A bunch of outcasts and failures who did things their own ways, as we get flashbacks of the Blue Lockers' important moments. He then starts smiling and says, let's quit fooling ourselves. This team isn't the center of the world. We see a chain break free, as Isagi continues saying they came together in an insane place in the corner of the world and evolved with a twisted fanaticism. As Isagi tells them, Blue Lock is a super dark horse that will devour the world in a beautiful double spread, showcasing a Blue Lock and other countries with chains on them. Yeah, I could shed a tear. This is gorgeous. They never fail to impress with the art, especially on a week-to-week basis, which is crazy. Round of applause for Kaneshiro and Nomura. Interestingly too, we see Portugal being mentioned for the first time, so again, maybe future foreshadowing, as well as Brazil again. They've been mentioning Brazil so much, it's damn near in our faces we're seeing them later. Chigiri laughs, saying thinking like that definitely gets him fired up, with Aiku smiling too, saying this team's gotten fragmented, so they need a unifying mindset. Wrapping up the great speech, Isagi agrees, saying with this in mind, they can still have their own visions of being the world's best. And as Bachira smiles, Isagi with his aura appearing and chains around him, he says, let's dream the same dream, you egoists. Yo, this is so fire, man. Who said Shakespeare was dead? I know BLUELOCK gets flack sometimes for aura farming, but you gotta understand why people like this. The pose, the art, the dialogue, all so fire. This literally reminds me of prime Isagi Oichi. Welcome back. I'm just hoping that he isn't aura gambling too hard though, and then gets embarrassed immediately in the England game. But at the bottom of the page, we see there is only 24 hours until the England match begins. So next chapter will definitely be the start of it, and as Isagi hypes us all up, the chapter ends off there. Alright y'all, the England game is fast approaching, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but unfortunately next week is break week, so no new chapter, but they deserve the break, y'all. They've been on a generational run. And then in 2 weeks, we will be returning, and I think the game will be starting by then, which will be super exciting. I can't wait to see the formation, since we're kind of left in the dark about the England team, and there's already so many theories about them. In terms of this chapter specifically, the Rin and Isagi 2 versus 1 against Teddy was pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Rin, man. Kaneshiro is playing with my emotions. I can already smell the comments coming from a mile away, all the Rin slander, all the Rin jokes, but let's switch the subject. Isagi had a pretty nice speech in this chapter. From just one read, it looks like Isagi is kind of spreading the word of his rebel philosophy that he figured out in the France game, so I wonder what will be made of that. I honestly have a few theories just from that panel, so maybe that's a video I'll make later in the week when I reread the chapter. Let's be honest though, this chapter felt like and was a build-up chapter for the next chapter or the England game. Speaking of which, the volume ends with next chapter, so yeah, it's pretty much confirmed we'll be kicking off the game, so it ends the volume. It will be focusing more on dialogue and formation, since it is a new formation excluding Rin for BLUELOCK, unlike Nigeria and France, which ran the same starting 11. In fact, they might approach it like how they did in the Neo Egoist League, where Ego announces the starters and explains his decisions, just like how Noah did. Lastly, I am curious to see what made Teddy egoless and refer to himself as a puppet. Maybe it's that Fox person from before. So I'm really looking forward to this England game so we get that backstory and context, to the point where this game could be the best group stage game, maybe even one of the best games in general, up there with the U20 and PXG game. Because there have been so many theories on a Fox and Teddy's puppet mentality already. I made one as well, so if you want to check that out, make sure to click this video right here. That about wraps it up for this video though. If you made it to the end, I appreciate it as always, and I'll see y'all in the next one.